We are like little light skinned.
In the early hours of July 31st, 2023, tragedy struck when a mother of three was shot dead by her children's father's new girlfriend. At around 6 p.m., 26-year-old Tamaya Morton had pulled into her children's father's home, ready to hand them over as part of their weekly custody arrangement. But what should have been a simple exchange would suddenly, unexpectedly, become the last time her children would see her alive. As her children waited nearby, a figure suddenly appeared in the car window. It wasn't a stranger lurking in the shadows. It was someone Tamaya knew too well. Someone that had been stalking her, but what she didn't know was how far this person was ready to go, and most especially in front of her children. But the most disturbing part? This was no crime of passion in the heat of the moment. It was weeks and months of a deadly feud that had been building long before that night. In fact, cases like this echo many of the stories we've covered before. Do you remember the case of a 35-year-old domestic violence activist who was shot dead by her new boyfriend after she had divorced her violent husband?
She talked about domestic violence, which is very ironic because that's exactly what unfortunately led to her demise. She spoke about how she was able to break free from a previous situation that her and her children were a part of.
If you've not watched it, I'll leave a link at the end of this video. Now, let's look at the life and death of Tamaya Morton. Tamaya Morton, born in 1996, grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, a city filled with history, soul, and strong family ties. Though she later spent some years in Las Vegas, Nevada, Birmingham was always her anchor. It was home. She attended Pleasant Grove High School, where classmates remembered her as bright, compassionate, and full of life. Her mother, Lakeisha Carter, often described her as a ray of sunshine. Tamaya was more than just a daughter. She was her mom's best friend, a confidant who shared everything from laughter to late-night talks. She had a gift for making others feel loved, whether it was through a simple phone call, her radiant smile, or the way she could instantly ease tension in any room.
Y'all left me. Look at my 2020 twin. Hold on. Say hello. Hey, she got y'all left me. Look. Here go your auntie friend. Hi, Maya. Hey. Y'all left me. She's jealous. Here go your daddy. You left me.
You didn't want to go nowhere.
I had to work the whole week.
Tamaya's resilience extended to her work ethic. She held jobs at Family Dollar, Amazon, DHL, and several customer service roles, juggling responsibilities while always putting her children first. But her truest calling wasn't in any workplace. It was motherhood. By the age of 26, she was raising 3 children, and to them, she was their world. She poured herself into their lives, showing up for every milestone, every school event, and every need, no matter how small.
Take down that way.
Yeah.
There we go, dude. Right. There we go.
Get the ball high, ride!
For 7 years, she shared a life with her children's father. Though their relationship eventually ended, co-parenting kept them tied together. Tamaya embraced that reality with grace. She didn't seek drama, she sought stability for her kids. Peace was all she wanted, but peace wasn't what she got. After the breakup, her ex entered a relationship with a young woman named Raven Thompson. At first, Tamaya tried to navigate the situation with maturity. Raven even entrusted Tamaya to babysit her and Tamaya's ex's child when both parents needed help. To outsiders, this might have looked like cooperation, even unity for the sake of the children. But behind the scenes, things were far more complicated. Raven was insecure and increasingly jealous. Tamaya's family later recalled how Raven began monitoring her, showing up at unexpected places and making interactions tense whenever Tamaya came to pick up or drop off the kids. On social media, Tamaya voiced her frustrations, posting about Raven stalking her, keeping tabs on her, and trying to control even the simplest of exchanges. What had started as silent resentment soon grew into open hostility. Her mother, Lakeisha, saw it all unfolding with unease. Having lived through life's hardships, she could read the signs of danger better than most. She begged Tamaya not to move back to Birmingham from Las Vegas, saying it's too dangerous. Someone might get killed. But Tamaya's heart wouldn't let her stay away. Her children were in Birmingham, and to her, that was the only place she belonged. No matter how difficult things became, no matter how tense the exchanges with Raven grew, Tamaya refused to distance herself from her kids. Sadly, her mother's fears weren't just words. They were a chilling prediction of what was to come. Lakeisha would later say, Tamaya wasn't just a mom, she was her children's safe place, their protector. She would have gone through fire for her babies. Unfortunately, fire was exactly what she was walking into. The custody arrangement was supposed to be simple, 1 week with Tamaya, 1 week with their father. On paper, it looked like a way to maintain peace, stability, and balance for the children, but underneath the surface, Raven's resentment was growing. On the night of Monday, July 31st, 2023, that fragile peace shattered forever. Around 6 p.m., Tamaya loaded her 3 children into the car and drove to Kingston, pulling up to the home where their father lived with Raven and their baby. It was a routine exchange, one she had done countless times before. Her best friend was on the phone with her as she arrived, laughing with Tamaya about everyday life. No one could have guessed those would be the last moments they'd hear her voice. As usual, the children's father came outside to help carry the kids inside. First, he took 2 of them safely. Then he returned for the last child. There was a brief exchange between him and Tamaya, nothing unusual, just a quick moment about why one of the kids didn't have shoes on. An everyday parenting disagreement. Tamaya didn't even raise her voice. But then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. From the rear driver's side window, Raven appeared. Her face was hard, her hand steady as she raised a gun. Witnesses later said she didn't hesitate. Without a word, she aimed directly at Tamaya's head and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out. Tamaya slumped over as the bullet tore into the side of her head. Her children screamed in terror, their cries piercing the night. The car, now without control, lurched forward and crashed into a utility pole. For a moment, silence followed the chaos, broken only by the sobs of Tamaya's kids trapped in the nightmare unfolding before their eyes. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come, because not only had Raven just ended a young mother's life, she had done so in full view of the 3 children Tamaya lived for, loved fiercely, and had spent her entire life protecting. Every second of their mother's murder was imprinted into their memories forever. Neighbors dialed 911 immediately after hearing the gunshot and the screech of metal as Tamaya's SUV slammed into the pole. Within minutes, officers from the Birmingham Police Department swarmed the scene. What they found was devastating.
Now, Birmingham police investigating yet another homicide. This one on 46th Place North off of Messer Airport Highway tonight, where officers found a woman shot and killed inside this SUV that then hit a power pole. Officers telling us they are questioning a person of interest in custody right now. They have not released the victim's name.
Officers found Tamaya's white SUV crashed against a utility pole just off 46th Place North in the Kingston community, near the Reverend Moral Todd Homes public housing. Inside the vehicle was 26-year-old Tamaya, slumped lifeless in the driver's seat, blood pooling from a fatal gunshot wound to the head. And just feet away, 3 young children, their cries echoing in the night, frozen in shock at what they had just witnessed. It was a scene no child should ever have to endure. Right at that moment, officers knew this wasn't the work of a random shooter or some drive-by. This was personal, and the prime suspect wasn't far from their minds. Thanks to the Real-Time Crime Center, which monitors surveillance cameras across Birmingham, investigators quickly traced movements around the neighborhood. Within hours, a lead emerged. Soon enough, officers tracked 24-year-old Raven Thompson to a nearby apartment complex. She offered no resistance as she was taken into custody.
Birmingham police made an arrest in a recent homicide case. Raven Thompson is now charged with capital murder in the death of Tamaya Morton. Morton was found dead Monday night inside a crashed SUV on 46th Place North. That's the Morel Todd homes in the Kingston community.
A chilling calmness in contrast to the horror she had just unleashed. But the arrest was only the beginning, because as detectives began piecing the case together, it was clear Raven wasn't just a jealous girlfriend caught in a heated moment. She had executed the fatal shot in cold blood, and she had done it with Tamaya's 3 innocent children watching every second. The deeper investigators dug, the more disturbing her motive and her history would become. 24-year-old Raven Thompson was arrested that night and charged with capital murder in the death of Tamaya Morton. Police confirmed that the motive stemmed from jealousy. Raven did not want Tamaya communicating with her ex-partner, the father of her children, even though that communication was necessary for co-parenting. But what investigators discovered next would leave them questioning. During the questioning process, Raven gave no clear explanation. She didn't say why she fired the gun that night. She didn't explain why she chose to pull the trigger in front of the children. Some speculated that Tamaya's ex may have fueled the tension between the two women. But at the end of the day, Raven made the choice to pick up a weapon and fire. Her charge was upgraded to capital murder in part because the crime occurred in front of children. In Alabama, that aggravating factor alone can carry the harshest penalties, including life without parole or even the death penalty. Detectives from the Birmingham Police Department's homicide unit pieced together the timeline. Witnesses said the shooting happened after a simple argument over a child's shoes. Tamaya had been speaking with her best friend on the phone in the seconds leading up to the gunshot. That friend later told police she heard the chaos unfold live. Her call still connected when the gun went off. Meanwhile, Raven's gun was later recovered, strengthening the case against her. The family's heartbreak was immediate. Tamaya's mother, Lakeisha Carter, was in Las Vegas when she received the devastating call. She boarded the next available flight and rushed across the country to Birmingham within hours. Standing before local news cameras, tears streamed down her face as she described her daughter as beautiful, smart, and full of life. A woman whose smile could light up any room and who wanted nothing more than to be happy and enjoy life.
She was just like a ray of sunshine. She's just a happy person. She just wanted to be happy and have fun.
But grief soon gave way to determination. Lakeisha made it clear that while her faith taught her forgiveness, she would not stop until justice was served. She vowed to see Raven prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, calling the killing merciless and undeserving of compassion. Her greatest concern, however, was for her grandchildren. All 3 had been in the car that day. All 3 had watched their mother collapse before their eyes. Lakeisha said the children would need extensive counseling to cope with the trauma.
They have to get counseling because they witnessed this incident, and that by far is the worst element of this whole situation, is that they had to see this.
And that, to her, was the most painful part of the entire tragedy. Meanwhile, the Birmingham community mourned yet another homicide. At the time, Birmingham had been battling high rates of violent crime. Residents gathered in prayer, demanding an end to senseless shootings. Tamaya's friends remembered her as the sweetest soul who never deserved this. On social media, tributes poured in, with people sharing stories of her kindness and her love for her children. Soon enough, Tamaya's family launched a GoFundMe campaign to help with funeral costs and to support the 3 children she left behind. The fundraiser drew attention across Alabama and beyond, with people expressing outrage that a young mother's life had been stolen in such a cruel way. However, one crucial detail would shift the entire investigation. Raven had reportedly shown jealousy and aggression long before the shooting. Tamaya herself had voiced concerns online about being stalked. Her mother had warned her moving back to Birmingham could be deadly, and tragically, those warnings became reality. As detectives dug deeper, they focused on Raven's mental state. Some wondered if jealousy had driven her to blind rage. Others questioned whether her partner had influenced her actions. But prosecutors were clear. Raven pulled the trigger. Raven made the decision. And Raven would face the consequences. The Jefferson County District Attorney's Office confirmed the capital murder charge. With no bond set, Raven was ordered to remain in the Jefferson County Jail while awaiting trial. This case wasn't just about a life lost, it was about 3 young lives forever changed. Tamaya's children were forced to witness their mother's killing, an image that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. Her mother, Lakeisha, understood that healing would be a long and painful journey. She explained that the children would need counseling after witnessing such trauma, and she believed that was the most devastating part of the tragedy. Tamaya had feared this outcome, and her mother had warned it might happen. Yet despite the warnings, nothing stopped the violence. Tamaya Morton's funeral was held in Birmingham, Alabama, where her family, friends, and community gathered to lay her to rest. The atmosphere was heavy with grief, but also filled with love for the young mother whose life was cut short. Her mother, Lakeisha Carter, stood strong at the service, clutching photos of Tamaya with her 3 children. Family members spoke of her radiant smile, her love for her kids, and the joy she brought into every room. Lakeisha described Tamaya as not just her daughter, but also her best friend, and losing her left an emptiness that words could never fill. Even in her grief, she vowed to ensure Tamaya's children would always remember the kind of mother she had been. The community came together in a show of love and support, bringing food, flowers, and donations to help the family through their darkest days. Local pastors lifted prayers, asking not only for comfort, but also for justice. Meanwhile, Raven Thompson remained behind bars in the Jefferson County Jail, charged with capital murder. Prosecutors made it clear they would pursue the harshest sentence possible under Alabama law. The fact that the crime occurred in front of children was especially damning. In Alabama, that aggravating circumstance elevated the case far beyond a simple homicide. The possibility of life without parole, or even the death penalty, loomed over Raven's future. But justice would not come easily, and the battle was far from over. Court proceedings take time, and Tamaya's family faced the painful reality of sitting through hearings and trials, forced to relive the trauma. As weeks passed, Lakeisha Carter began speaking publicly about her daughter's case. Her voice carried both forgiveness and determination. Her words echoed across Birmingham. They weren't just about her daughter, they were about every family shattered by senseless gun violence. Neighbors organized candlelight vigils. Advocacy groups used Tamaya's story to push for greater awareness about domestic violence, jealousy-fueled crimes, and the dangers of leaving firearms in the wrong hands. Tamaya had been murdered not during a break-in, not during a robbery, but during a simple custody exchange in a place where her children should have been safe. Her story serves as a tragic reminder of what jealousy, anger, and easy access to guns can do. It also serves as a reminder that forgiveness and justice can coexist, that a grieving mother can call for accountability while still holding onto her faith. I hope Tamaya Morton gets the justice she deserves. My sincere condolences go out to her family and her children. May her memory be a blessing, and may her story inspire change, awareness, and healing for others who may be walking a similar path. What do you think? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.